Hey, 皆さん、こんにちは. Welcome to Unit 3.1. And in this unit, we're going to be focusing on the verbs. So verbs are the words that describe actions like eat, drink, sleep, cook, things like that. So we're going to learn how to conjugate different kinds of verbs in Japanese. So first of all, it's important to learn the three categories of the Japanese verbs. So here's the three categories of Japanese verbs. So ru-verbs, u-verbs, and irregular verbs. The ru-verbs are the verbs that end with the iru or eru sounds. So like taberu, to eat, miru, to watch. So verbs ending in iru or eru are called ru-verbs. Second type, u-verbs, those are the verbs that end with the u sound. Like nomu, to drink, kiku, to listen. So verbs ending in u sounds are called u-verbs. Finally, the irregular verbs. Those are the special kind of verbs that conjugate in a kind of irregular kind of way. So there's only two verbs in this category. So suru, to do, and kuru, to do, to come. So these two verbs belong to the irregular category. So we have different conjugation rules for each of these categories. So first of all, it's important to know that to know these three types of Japanese verbs. Now, in the topic 1, you're going to be learning how to conjugate ru-verbs. So ru-verbs, again, are the verbs that end with either iru or eru. So taberu probably is the easiest example. Taberu, this is our ru-verb. Conjugation rule for ru-verbs is that you start from the dictionary form. This is basically like the original form of the verb, taberu. Change the ru into tabemasu for affirmative, like I eat, you eat, they eat. Tabemasu, affirmative. For negative, don't eat. Change the ru to masen, tabemasen. So taberu, change the ru to masu, tabemasen. Tabemasu and tabemasen. Masu, masen. For affirmative and negative. Taberu, tabemasu, tabemasen. Okiru, okimasu, okimasen. So this is how to make the present tense affirmative and negative forms of the ru-verbs. In the next topic, topic 2, we're going to be looking at the other two types of verbs, so u-verbs and the irregular verbs. So u-verbs are those are the verbs that end with the u sound. One example is iku, to go, iku. It's ending with the u sound. So the rule can be a little bit complicated for the u-verbs. The rule for u-verbs is that you focus on the u sound at the end. For affirmative, replace the u with imasu. So kaeru, this is a u-verb. Now this ends in eru, so you might think it's a ru-verb, but kaeru is actually one of the special cases. It looks like ru-verb, but it's actually a u-verb. So there are some exceptions like this. There's not so many, but some of them are exceptional. So kaeru is actually a u-verb. Look at the u and replace that with imasu. Kaerimasu. For negative, kaerimasen. So go home, I go home, kaerimasu. I don't go home, kaerimasen. Imasu, imasen. Kiku, to listen. Kikimasu. U replaced with imasu, kikimasu. Negative, I don't listen. Kikimasen. Kikimasen. Yes. So this is the rule for the u-verb. Finally, there is the irregular verbs. So those are simple because you need to simply memorize these. So only two verbs in this category, suru, kuru. So they mean to do, to come. The entire words change for these words. So suru becomes shimasu, I do. Shimasen, I don't do. Kuru becomes kimasu, I come. Kimasen, I don't come. Suru, shimasu, shimasen. Kuru, kimasu, kimasen. So these are special conjugations that you have to memorize. So in the lesson, let's recite them and try to memorize. And also we're going to practice conjugating these different kinds of verbs and get used to them.